So many shock lengths to choose from. Today we're going to talk about sizing your car for QA1 shocks. Hi, I'm Steve at QA1 and today I'm with Trevor from the tech department. We're going to talk about measuring up your vehicle for QA1 shocks even if you don't see it in the catalog. So thanks for being here today, Trevor. What's the first thing that we want to know about a shock that we're looking to fit to a custom application?
Yeah, the main thing we need to know, Steve, is the mounting style of the shock. We've got a few varieties here. Eyelet style, might have a stud top or a T-bar mount.
So it's important to know whether you have an eyelet or a T-bar. Also on the eyelets, there's different mounting bolts for lots of different vehicles, different sizes of mounting bolts. And do we have a solution for that as well?
Yeah, we've got a large variety of different sleeves, different bushings, basically covering all the most common sizes of mounting hardware there.
So we've got sleeves that reduce down to 1/2 inch, 7/16, just about all of them, right?
Exactly.
So once we know our connection types and our mounting bolt sizes, what's the first thing we want to do before we start measuring?
Yeah, before we start measuring, it's very critical to get the vehicle positioned in the ride height that it will be set at as it's going down the road. So it might have leaf springs on or coil springs on. Let it rest on those springs, get the vehicle set at its ride height.
And you should have all of the weight on the car at that point, but if you're halfway into a build and you want to start sizing up your shocks, you can also have the car up in the air and put the wheel and tire jacket up to where you visually would want to see it, right? And then start measuring from there?
That's correct. Yep, main thing there is just having the vehicle at its ride height.
Nice. So on, say for instance, this shock, an eyelet style shock, how would we measure that at the ride height?
Yeah, so the eyelet to eyelet style is the simplest. Simply at ride height, like we said, from the center line of the lower mount to the center line of the upper eyelet, those will be the measurement we need.
Yeah, and that's how we would measure it for either the non-coilover shocks as well as the coilovers. So whichever you're putting on your car or needing, that's how you would measure that eyelet. Now, even if you don't have a shock in the car, you could just measure the mounting bolts, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then we go to our stud style. This one's got a stud on top, and there's a couple different ways I've had customers measure a stud top, but where are all of our shocks lengthwise measured to on a stud style shock?
Yeah, on the stud style top shock, ideally we want to get the bottom side of the washer here and then to the center line of our lower mount again.
Over on the eyelet, we did the center to center on the eyelet. Over here, we go center of the eyelet up to the lower washer. And then also, we've got a T-bar on this shock. Now we've got a couple different size T-bars. Would we need to know that information as well?
Yeah, ideally, we would also know the bolt spacing between the two lower mounts, and that would help us make a determination on the best T-bar to fit your needs.
And again, this is for Stalker Star non-coilover shocks as well as our custom mount coilover shocks. I mean, you can size up our QA1 shocks for just about anything. Are there some applications where maybe that's going to be a little bit more difficult?
Yeah, it'd be more of a challenge on a spindle mounted strut or a clevis style, more of the unique shocks out there.
A lot of import applications have that clevis style.
Yeah, that's going to be a little more of a challenge.
Great, so I mean, it's that easy, huh?
It really is.
Wow, so that's how you'd measure for custom QA1 shocks on your application if you don't see it in the catalog. If you have any questions about your measurements or want to run them by us, all of our charts are on our website with our different shock lengths, the recommended ride height, and so real easy to figure out. If you want to give us a call at the tech line, that's great, or you can check all that out at qa1.net, and we appreciate you stopping by to watch.